Okay, I'm going to offer a little help for Project 5 in Excel, and this is on the Calculations tab. So make sure that when you open up this project and you've got it saved, that you start out with this first tab. It's the Calculations. So here we are on the Cowboys worksheet, and we've figured out some of the other things on here. We've totaled up the number of games played, and we've got all the things here, but we came down to this total attendance of home games. So I told y'all in an earlier video about the if function. If functions are very powerful things, and we can combine them with other functions to make them even more powerful. So in this one, we are wanting to know um, how many people attended the home games for the Cowboys. And so what we're going to do is we're going to write in a sum if. So what are we wanting to sum? Well, we want to know how many people attended but only the home game. So we're going to be looking at two things. We're going to look at some numbers because we want them to sum some numbers, but only the people that showed up for, here's the location for the home or away games. So we start out this formula, and I'm just going to write it out by hand and use my screen tips to help me. We started out with an equals, and we put in sum. And when you start typing in sum, you can see all kinds of sum functions. The one we're looking for is the sum if. So I'm going to arrow down to it, hit the tab, and open up the sum if. So sum if says what range are we going to look at? So the range that we're going to be looking at is the E4 to E20. So I told you location. So here's E4 to E20, and I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to highlight that range. And once I put in that criteria for the sum if function, I'm going to put in a comma. We're going to go over to the next one. So the criteria for this is I'm looking for only the home games. I don't want away games. I don't want any bye. I only want home games. And so to make it understand and read in Excel, we have to put that in quotations. So I enter into quotations the word home. Once we have that criteria in that we're looking for in this range, we're going to put a comma, and then what range do I want it to sum if it finds home? So we know that we wanted to sum attendance. We wanted to know who attended all of the home games. So our range for this is going to be F4 to F20. So we want to count everything there. So when we finish, you can simply hit enter on the keyboard and it will sum all of the home games for us. So same thing with the next one that we come across, number of Cowboy wins. So what are we looking at? We want to count if the Cowboys won. So here's our outcomes, and we are wanting to look in here and see how many times the Cowboys had a win. So we're going to start out with an equals, and we're going to do a count, and I just start typing it in, and I find the count if. So I'm going to arrow down, find the count if, and hit the tab key on the keyboard. So my range, what I'm looking for is, hey, I'm looking for G4 to G20. I'm looking here in this range. And as you can guess, what am I looking for? What's my criteria? So I put a comma in there, and I'm looking for quotation win. And in the quotation, hit enter on the keyboard, and wow, they only won 13 games. Perfect. And so then the last one here is I'm looking for the average attendance at the away games. So kind of like the total attendance, but I'm looking for, and the wording has changed, and it's average. So I type in an equals, and I'm looking for an average, and there's that average if. So I only want to average them if it was an away game. So I hit the tab on the keyboard, and the range that I am looking for, remember now, there's just two different ranges that we're going to be looking at. And so the first one is I'm going to look at the location. So E4 to E20, and I'm going to put a comma, and I only want to know if they were away. So I have to put that in quotation to make Excel read it. And then I put a comma. And if it finds an away game, what does it need to average? What's the range? And so the attendance, the F4 to F20 is my range that I want to average. If I think I've got that all in correctly, hit enter and should have our totals. Okay, so let's take another look at some other things that we can do. This is Texas Community College. So at the bottom of this workbook, let's take a look at doing some percentages. Now, percentages are pretty easy if you remember back to second grade math. Percentage is a part divided by a whole. That's just that simple. So, first thing it was asking you to fill in was the 2016 percent of people attending Amarillo College. So in cell L25, we're going to enter in a formula that's going to calculate this for us. So in 2016, in H26, so here's our 2016, and here's Amarillo College. So in H26, here's the number of people that attended just Amarillo College. Now at the bottom down here, here's the number of people that attended all of these colleges. So here's my whole and here's my part. So I simply enter a formula that says equals, and I click on Amarillo College's attendance, and then we divide that by the total attendance. And we hit enter when we're finished, and we come up with 11.97%. So same thing for Odessa College. I simply put an equal sign. I come over here and I find Odessa College. And there they are in the 2016 column, and I divide that by the total. So there's my whole. And I hit enter and 6.7%. So you get the drift with 2016. You can do 2012 the same way. So here's the 2012 information. I'm just going to fill that in real quick just so we have those figures. I don't know if we'll need them, but I'm not quite sure if we might. So we divide that by the whole, and we're going to do Clarendon College. So equals, I'm going to come down here and find Clarendon College, divide it by the whole, and hit enter. And 20% of 2016's attendance at Amarillo College. So 20%, what is 20% in a decimal? Well, if we take it by 100, it's 0.2%. So if I wanted to know 20% of attendance at Amarillo College, then I'm going to say equals, I'm going to look in the 2016 in Amarillo College, times, and we said 20% was 0.2, and we hit enter. There's your 20%. So same thing with all colleges. So I say equals, and here's the total for all colleges, times, and we said it was 0.2, and we hit enter. So there's my all college. So last thing, percent change from 2012 to 2016. So anytime that we're doing a percent change, then we have to take into consideration our orders of operation. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So when you're looking at a percent change, you're taking away a small part from a big part and then dividing by a whole part. Okay, I know that sounds kind of complicated, but here it goes. Let's give it a whirl. So percent change from 2012 to 2016 of Amarillo College. So I'm going to start this formula like I do all formulas with an equals. And I know that a minus, because please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, minus is at the bottom of the totem pole. So compared to the division that I'm going to need, I'm going to put that in parentheses, and I'm going to say H26. So here's my 2016, and I'm going to minus D26. So here's my Amarillo College 2012, and I'm going to put that in parentheses, and then I'm going to divide it by, and you guessed it, D26. So here's the change, okay? So I started out 2012 with 11,230 in total attendance, And looks like we dropped in 2016, but I have to divide it by the whole. And so we hit enter, and that comes out with a negative number. You can do South Plain colleges and then all colleges the same way as we did the Emerald College. If you have any questions about filling out the rest of this, just holler. Should be fairly easy. Follow that formula. If you have any questions, though, please email me at keboatman@actx.edu.